Over. Yeah, about 550 watts. I'm not pushing it tonight. But all is well, thank you, John. Yeah, you're solid 20 over all the while. I tell you, I had this meter on 40 over the other day. I've never seen it go that high. And that was Alex, Echo Bravo 1, EB1 DB, whatever his call is. You must have heard him on 20 meters. Really nice audio, strong guy in Spain there. And I turned the beam round towards him, and 40 over, and he gave me 30 over back. Absolute incredible. I've never seen the 5000 with the RF amp 1 on. I've never ever seen that go anywhere near that. And I thought I must have RF amp 2 on, and I didn't. I just had the normal RF amp on. And yeah, he's touching 40. I've never seen the 5000 go that high, John. Over.
And just tell me his call sign again, Steve. Over.
Echo Bravo 1, what's his DJ, Delta Juliet, Alex. EB1 Delta Japan.
Yeah, I know the guy, yeah. He's got a QRZ page and there's lots of reading, over.
Yeah, lots of reading, but I tell you, he's a very nice guy to have a chat with. That show, working quite often, but never ever have I seen signals like it. That was like over the weekend, I think. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, up to you, Neil, and then we'll put to see if Ralph is back. 2E0KAX M0EBJ.
M0EBJ 2E0 Kilo Alpha X-ray. Well, I've checked the SWI. It's a little bit high, but it's not massive, so it'll do. It'll do what it needs to do. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I've just finished the series I've been watching. I've been watching an Aussie series called Mr. In Between with Scott Ryan. Very good series, to be fair, but how it ends in series 3 and he's not doing a series 4, that's a little bit poor, but yeah, well, he may do a 4. It says he won't, but yeah, I really enjoyed watching that. To be fair, I've binge watched it a couple of nights in a row, Steve, have I?
Yeah, where do you watch that? Where's that on, Neil?
Well, it's come on Disney. It's been on Disney, but yeah, Dave knows where I found it. I found it in series on the Fire Stick, I did.
Yeah, no worries, pal. There you go. Back to you, Dave.
Yeah, okay. Well, I watched American Primeval. Donna did. I thought it was great. Steve started watching it. I don't think it was his cup of tea. But that's on Netflix. American Primeval. I thought that was superb, Nelly. So I think there's 6 in the series. It's a bit, like a western, Neil. But I thought it was great. But anyway, so that'll be one to watch. I think I've heard of that one. You've watched, Neil. But I've not come across. Well, I haven't seen it as yet. Up to you, John. And you've got a fetish, John, for headphones, like I have for microphones, have you?
Yeah, yes, I do. And of course, the favorite brand that I always loved were the Bear Dynamics. And I'll just put it back to you, Dave, and say I'm not really a Netflix person, but I remember the problem is I wouldn't mind watching a movie on it, but I wouldn't like to get sucked into a series of 10 with 10 episodes, so you'd have to watch 100. My wife is guilty of watching Korean soaps, and they go on for 150 series or 150 episodes. But anyway, that's her business. And I remember watching, and I'm trying to think of the title, but I'll describe it. It's a guy, and his name is Red, and he's kind of a fixer, and he's known all over the world, but his business is kind of bumping people off. Dave, over.
Yeah, I've watched a few of those Korean series, but not the ones that go on forever and a day. But yeah, they're slightly different, aren't they, John? Over.
Yeah, but the one I watched, which was American, his name was Red, and he would have been a guy in his 50s. Now I think if my memory serves me right, he was short shaven or even bald, but he was a mover and shaker in bumping off people. Over.
Yeah. Oh well. I'm trying to think of the series that I watched, and they're quite the comedic as well. Some of them they're sort of like a black comedy. Some of them, John, aren't they? But yeah, very good. Okay, right. Well, listen, I'm going to get out of here. It's 10:20. I'm going to call it a night. I've been on the radio most of the day. I'll be knocking about tomorrow if the bands are not full of contesters, of course. But great to hear everybody on. And I'll say 7-3s to you, Steve, you, John, you, Neil, and Ralph, if you're back. But I'll put it round to you, Neil, and I'll say 7-3s, over.
Yeah, okay, Dave, no problem. M0 SKA, 20 Kilo Alpha X-Ray Company. Well, if you remember the original Primeval, that was filmed in Electronic Arts in Chertsey. So Electronic Arts was originally the EA Sports division, American division, that used to create the games for the Xboxes and PlayStations and all that. So EA Sports or Electronic Arts is where I fitted the first world incline slider at 45 degrees. So yeah, but Primeval was filmed actually in Electronic Arts in Chertsey. I don't know what the building's like now. I don't know. I believe the two boys that owned it, there were two American boys, not very old, about 21, had that. So I don't know. Right, I'll put it back to you, Dave, and then you want to say to everybody. I'm going to disappear as well anyway. I only popped in to say hello. Well, it's because, Dave, you said that everybody was on a night time, so I purposely finished my series, come up, and I thought I'll have a flick round and see who's about. So that's why I've gone on the radio, Dave, over.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, no, it's been quite good this week, and it seems to be getting better. You know, later and later. So yeah. But I'm just going to go and watch a bit of TV and chill out for a while, Neil. But yeah, very good. All right, 7-3s, John. Great to hear you on, and Steve. We'll catch up tomorrow. Maybe in the morning. Oh no, you're not about, are you? But hopefully I'll get up in the morning, Steve. Over.
Yeah, okay, pal. All the best. And acknowledge Rob. Yeah, take it easy, Dave, and we'll catch you soon, mate. And have a good day tomorrow, whatever you're up to. Over.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Steve. All right, 7-3s. Take care. All the very best.
I'll just bring in Rob. M0KP Mobile. KPD Mobile. Rob, is that you called in?
Yeah, Roger, Steve. Mike 0 KPD Strike Mobile. How you doing?
5 and 7, 5 and 8, Rob. No problem in the sunny Norfolk. Over.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Well, good to hear you. And I was trying to call in and everyone's leaving. I think it's something I said. Or not said, by the way. Anyway, a very good evening to you, mate. You're 5 and 8 to 9 with me. And I'm hearing you're pretty good. It's nice to catch you on 80, over.
Yeah, make the channel to see if John can work you. 0-8-EI. Take you through to Rob, John. Over.
Yeah, well, Rob is booming in, as he always is, and amazing to think that he's in a mobile. And Dave, if you're still listening, all the best for the moment. Good to hear from you, and we keep in touch. And hopefully Neil is going to hang on for a moment. And I'm not sure what happened to Ralph. So back to you, Rob. Just give me your. I know it's Mike 0, and you're a great friend of the big signal out of Indonesia. So back to you, Rob. 10/9. Name is John, and it's ON8EI. Rob, over.
Yeah, very good, John. Oscar November 8 Echo India. Very good evening to you from Mike Zero KPD Stroke Mobile. I'm just northeast of Gatwick Airport. You're a terrific signal. You're 5.9 plus 10 dB. And I'm running a bit of power today. I'm on 850 watts, believe it or not. But very happy for the nice report. I hope you're well, John. And a very late Happy New Year to you.
Yeah. Okay, and just for the record, you're mobile rather than static mobile, over?
Yeah, I'm actually parked up on static mobile in a lay-by. I was heading towards my village and I heard you guys. I pulled over, the engine's running. If you like, I can go up and down the lane a few times if you want to do it that way, over.
Negative, no, not needed. But amazing to think. I'm gonna on your QRZ page. Are all the details there, Rob? Over.
Yeah, roger that. I've got two pages. I've got a normal page for contesting, and I do have a stroke mic page specifically just for mobile. I've met Steve many times, and he'll tell you I do not have a home station now. I've been exclusively mobile for about 8 years, over.
Yeah, Roger, and you're a great guy for getting in on the pile-ups. Well, great to hear you, and terrific that you're on 800 watts from the mobile. And I know you work, and your work brings you around the place, so you can transmit while you go from one location to another. So, Neil, are you there? And maybe you'll give Rob a call, over.
Yeah, okay, John. I can hear Rob, no problem. Rob's 5.9 plus 10 dB. Absolutely booming into me here in Wolverhampton on the outskirts of Shropshire, South border. M0KPD, 2E0 Kilo Alpha X-ray. 59, almost 10 dB, Rob, over.
Okay, very good evening to you, Neil. 2E0 Kilo Alpha X-ray. Mike Zero KPD mobile turning. Well, you dropped a bit with me there, Neil. I did hear you before, around about a 5 and 8, but you've dropped down now to a 4x7. But either way, very good, mate. Lovely to hear you near Wolverhampton, and always a pleasure when I'm passing your way. And, well, I get past everywhere, really, but always nice to be flying past on the road. A different day, a different motorway, mate. But lovely to hear you, and a late Happy New Year to you as well, over.
Yeah, no problem, Rob. As I say, you're 10 dB over. I don't know why everybody says I'm quite low. I don't know what's going on. I'm doing the allocated power, Rob, so I don't understand, mate. But yeah, it's probably just bad positions, Rob, over.
Yeah, roger that. Well, a cracking job from you, mate. The audio is very good. I've got a bit of noise here, like a whooshing noise in the background, but generally the noise is about an S1 at the moment. Pretty nice conditions tonight. I did not expect to come on to 80 metres, but I was chasing a few of the WWA stations. But I had a good one today. I was really happy. I was driving on the Mike 23, and I managed just about to work the Tango X-Ray 7 November. He was literally 3x2, but I heard the tail end of my call. I called back and he came back to me. That was amazing, absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, it seems like conditions are picking up, hopefully to stay for a little while. But I've not been too impressed with Cycle 25. I think I preferred it in the bottom end of 24. It seemed to be a lot better, but there you go. What can we do, mate? Listen, have a good weekend. Lovely to hear you, Neil. And thanks for a very nice report. Always a pleasure. And you have a good one, okay? 2E0 Kilo Alpha X-ray, Mike Zero KPD mobile. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Rob. Right, round to you, Steve. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to go and make a cup of tea, and I think I'm going to crawl into bed and get up early in the morning to see and catch all the mods. I'll go and put the antenna up because I haven't had any wind, so there you go.
Okay, buddy, I'm off now. I've got an MOT training course to finish tomorrow. So I won't be on. I'll leave here at 7:15, so I won't be on the long path tomorrow, but I will be Sunday. 7-3 to Neil, and I'll see if Ralph is back as well before I go. 7-3 Neil, all the best. Up to you, John.
Yep, Roger, very good. Okay, well, take care, Neil. Take care, Steve. And I'll just go quickly back to you, Rob, and maybe then we'll call Ralph in, and he can get an over with you, Rob. But Rob, I think are you on the Scorpion now? Over.
Yeah, roger that. I'm on the Scorpion. It's the only antenna. I've got a new installation now. I've got another vehicle. It's still the Ford Transit, a silver one, and I've taken off the 2 meters at the front, and I've taken off the ATAS 120 because I was getting interaction. So I've only got the Scorpion antenna at the back now, over.
Yeah, okay. 2 questions for you. The Scorpion against the Tar Wheel. I take it the Scorpion wins, over?
From my experience, I would say yes. I haven't used the Tar Heel, but I know the larger one of the 2 is comparable, as well as the High Q and the High Sierra antenna offerings from America. But I went for the Scorpion because the guy that makes them, he makes them all himself, and he basically is an engineer like me. So I think that he's not fully commercial, you know, like a big company. He just does it out of the joy of making them and obviously making money. But I like the build quality, although I must say I've modified this one completely. It doesn't have a lead screw in now. It's got a ball screw in the centre. I've got a sleeve tube inside to insulate the coil from the outside, and the outer tube's changed. I've got no PL259 plug now. It's directly wired in with the connection inside the vehicle. So really, the only original part of the original antenna is the tube at the bottom, and possibly the mount. That's it. I'm putting an aluminium cup, a 4-inch aluminium cup, and bolting that directly to a big long bar between the 2 roof bars on the vehicle. So I would say I've got the original tube and the sticker. That's all that's left of it.
Yeah, Roger. Okay, and are you down to 100 watts now? Over.
No, I dropped down to 30 watts then. 30 watts. I just had a tractor go past, believe it or not, and he's taking stuff round to the farm near me. So a very high Q antenna with near field interaction with anything metallic. So I'm back up now. So that's quite a jump, isn't it, from 30 up to 800 over.
Yeah, and it makes such a difference. Okay, I just have 1 or 2 more questions, but I'm going to check that Ralph is back. So MM0VOK, ON80I and the small group, over.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry I disappeared. I checked something. My apologies.
Yeah, okay. Well, you've come up on signal, and just give Rob a call, over.
Okay, no worries. M0 Kilo Papa Delta Mobile, Mike 0 Victor Oscar Kilo. Very good evening, Rob. When you first called in, you were 20 over with me, and I'm in Fraserburgh, North East Scotland. So back round to yourself. Good to hear you this evening. M0 KPD Mobile, Mike 0 Victor Oscar Kilo.
Yeah, very good, Ralph. Mike 0 POK, Mike 0 KPD Mobile Attorney. Well, a very good evening to you, Ralph. Good to hear you, mate, as well. First contact of the new year. And, well, originally I heard you at 5 and 9, but you've dropped down to about a 5 and 8 now, but that's no problem. A very easy copy on you, mate, and lovely to hear you from Scotland this evening. And, of course, a late Happy New Year to you as well, Ralph.
Okay, Rob, no problem. I was going to clear out of here in a minute anyway. I've got to go and do some things. So Happy New Year to yourself and everybody else on frequency. So I'll take this opportunity to leave because I must go and check the dogs again because one of them's squeaking. Probably because she's not covered up. She likes to be covered up with a blanket and snuggling. And she knows something's afoot because her mum's not here because she's left the house. So she'll be back, I hope, in a bit. But she's been gone nearly an hour now. So we're getting a bit concerned. We shall see. Anyway, thanks for the QSO, Rob. Back round to you, Steve, and I wish you 7-3 as well, and anyone else who happens to this, and you, John, of course. M0EBJ, Mike 0 Victor Oscar Kilo.
M0VOK in the group, M0EBJ. Great to hear you, Ralph. And, yeah, hope your wife gets them safely. Take it easy, pal. We're going to clear as well. Good to hear you, though. Rob, good to hear you, buddy. Thanks for calling in, pal. And good signal coming out on 80 metres this evening. John, I'll catch you over the weekend probably, and you, Neil. I think Neil's cleared as well. 7-3 there, Ralph, all the best. Over to you, Rob, and I'm going to go QRT myself. M0 KPD Mobile, M0 EBJ.
Yeah, fantastic, Steve. M0 EBJ, M0 KPD Mobile returning. Well, it's always a pleasure to catch you, mate, and obviously I've got the messenger, which helps as well. But I haven't heard Moz for a while, so I'll have to catch up with him sooner or later. But do pass my 73s when you get to chat with him. Always a pleasure. And of course, say hello to the guys up in Hull if you hear them as well. Just for your information, mate, I'll be operating G5RV next Sunday. So that's my club tour. I'll be operating that next Sunday for anyone that's listening, and really happy to be putting that call on air, as it's well, not a celebration, it's a remembrance of Louis Varney passing 25 years ago this year. So I'm very happy and proud to be operating that one, mate. And I'd love to get in the logbook for that, Steve. Listen, have a good one, mate. Have a lovely weekend. Always a pleasure. And thank you so much. Good evening, mate.
Yeah, I'll look out for you next weekend, pal. Just drop me a message. Catch you later, buddy. All the best. John, 7-3, Ralph. I'm going QRT as well. Over to you, John.
Yeah, well, Steve, great hearing you as always, and good luck, as said, with the course tomorrow. And give my regards to Moz as well. M0 EBJ ON80I. Sleep well, Steve. Over.
Yeah, 7-3. Well, for your information, there's absolutely no. Moz will be on tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, between 8 and 9 on the long path, down the bottom end as usual. I'm not on, but Dave's going to get up and try and work him. I think so is Neil. He will be on tomorrow morning, but the short path in the evening's waste of time at the moment. It's starting to improve. I had a few Americans on earlier on, but no long path with VK at all, Rob. Short path, should I say. 7-3 to you all. M0 EBJ clear.
Yeah, bye-bye, Steve. All the best from Belgium.
Yeah, 73, Steve. Thanks, everyone. And, okay, John, I'll pass it with you there. Do you have any more questions about the antenna, over?
Yes, I do. Do you change band when you're mobile, over?
Yes, I do. And I know it's a big no-no, but what I did, the solution to that was to sleeve the inside of the tube with a fiberglass sleeve. So I did that, and then basically the coil will never touch the outer tube, and it doesn't break the finger stock at the top, over.
Yeah, because I have a pal, and he's mobile every day. I'm not sure if you've run into him, but he's he's like yourself. He's on the road all the time. EI6 GEB, Jimmy, over.
I think I've worked him. Let me just check here. I've got my log here. EI6 GEB. Apologies. I'm not the fastest typer. I've worked Jimmy many a time on 40 metres, mostly in the mobile. Yeah, I've worked him a few times. What's the problem he's having, oh?
Yeah, problem with the tar heel. The little motor, I think twice now he's had a problem with it. And you'll know K2 TRD, he said don't change band while mobile, over.
Okay, very good. Well, yeah, I understand that, and I also had problems with the original American motor, which I wasn't very impressed with the torque on it. That's the problem. You're putting too much load. And because they use a 3/8 threaded bar with a nut, basically, there's no bearing, there's no free movement. So what I did, I changed it for, you know, you get like a little Bridgeport mill, and you get like a little rotary axis that goes on there. I bought a bearing, a proper bearing and ball screw, so it's completely free to move. And what I did, I changed it for the motor for a very high torque. It's not as fast as the normal ones, but the slower the motor, the stronger the stall, and then basically the holding position. So the gearing I don't have the details right now, but the motor, I bought it off online, and it's from Vietnam. It's a little model motor, and it's comparable in size, a lot shorter, but a hell of a lot stronger. And you have to imagine that my antenna weighs about 13 kilos, and there's a lot of copper on that coil. With the also the former in the middle, I've changed for a fiberglass one as well. That's homebrew. So I wound the coil myself onto a brand new coil former, because the old ones inside the Scorpion are made of phenolic paper. One for weight, and two, in America it's dry. You know, it's made for a very sort of dry Arizona type of conditions. And obviously when you're driving on the motorway, it picks up moisture, what have you, and then basically the resin on there breaks down, it bubbles out, and then when you key up, it shorts through the coil when it touches the outer tube, and it goes directly onto the ball screw itself, which then causes problems with the motor. So the actual damage for the motor came internally, not extra, you know, not under load. It was internally arcing out, basically, getting arcing out inside. So I kind of worked all that out. I stripped the antenna down, and I basically started from a pile of bits on the bench, and I was very lucky. I was working at a place that do insulators for electric pylons, and they had some very, very good 3.5 kilowatt rated fiberglass formers, of which I took one, I turned it down, I made the former. It's a hollow tube, but it's a bit thicker. It's about 8 mil thick, so it's a lot more solid. It's a little bit heavier, hence the extra torque on the motor, but it is a lot easier to get on with now. And what I do, I control it remotely. I've got a small handheld antenna unit, which is a garage door opener, motor controller. So basically, if I want to work on the antenna at the back of the vehicle, I don't have to be in the cab. I can just take my small antenna and I can push it up and down as I go. I did try automatic tuners, but on a high Q antenna, what happens is, with the West Mountain Radio one, you can set waypoints for each band, and it would basically count the turns on the pickup on the actual antenna. But what would happen was, it would go up, you're going near field, near a metallic object or something like that while you're driving, and it would also tune all the time, trying to find the best SWR. But of course, as you pass a vehicle, it's gone, so it's still tuning again. And that was another problem with that. So now, I basically manually tune, and I can hear when the band's there, and I can get it pretty good within SWR 2 to 1, and then I put a final carrier of 10 watts on FM, and I just fine tune it on slow speed for the optimum setting. In the dry, I can get 0 SWR from 160 to 6 meters, but when it's raining it's a little bit more, you know, it goes up to about 1 to 1.5 depending on the band, but I do notice that it's very reflected in the power output on the antenna. So on this band now I'm exactly 0 SWR while I'm talking, and that's why I'm getting the 850 watts there. John, sorry for the long over. ON80i, Mike 0KPD Mobile.
Yeah, very good, very detailed response. Now, the thing is, can I tell him that he may contact you, because just to get some details, Vietnam and the rest, he is, like yourself, very technical, and he works all the time in stainless steel. So anything in stainless steel, that's what he makes, over?
Okay, very good. Well, if he's working in stainless steel, he'll have no trouble to work in nylon and things like that, because I made all the nylon mounts for the bearings and everything else. But it does make a huge difference to the loading on the motor. The freer it moves, the better it'll be. What I'd like to do is actually have a rail on the inside of the outer tube just to guide the antenna. So guide the tube up as it's tuning, so that it doesn't have the possibility of spinning. But generally speaking, it doesn't do that. You know, there's enough grab on the motor that the coil won't start spinning around, you know, that kind of thing. But I'm very happy how it's worked out. But of course, I'm only here to please people if they want, you know. My forte is not radios or big antennas in the home. My forte is mobile. So, of course, anyone who needs a bit of info on mobile, I'm more than happy to help. And I'm also very happy to learn as well there, John.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll be contacting him tomorrow. I'm in contact with him every day, and I'll just well, he knows you. I think most people on the band know you, Rob. So I made a recording as well of what you said. So he can hear that. And okay, that's great news. And he was looking for a and I think you have the Smart Power Cube. Is that for HF? Over.
Yeah, Roger. It's HF only. It covers all of the bands, even 10 metres. Does not cover 6 metres, but it covers 10 all the way through to 160. And it's really good. I've got 3 of them now. I've got one that's in pieces. Basically, it's a donor. I've got one with a front end board that needs some tracks replacing. That was my fault. And I managed to pick up a third, which didn't turn out to be as good as the seller said. So I've got the front end of the second one, the front end of the third one on the back end of the first one. So basically I've had to mix and match, but it's been okay to do that. There are a few differences with them with regards to the bipolar transistors. Some of them have the 2SCs in, and some have the MRF versions. But I've got the 2SCs in 2 of them, and I've used one as a comparison for the other, basically for repairs. They are getting very hard to find, and a lot of people are actually holding on to them even if they're not working, because obviously SGC are no longer, and there's not a great deal of information out there. So anything I can learn, I can possibly share on Mods DK. It's a site there that I've had a bit of contact with people. But generally speaking, I would say it's a semi-commercial amplifier. It's built very well. As long as you manage the cooling, which I've got fans running on auto thermosensing, so they do get a bit loud when I chat too long, but that's okay. The temperature stays around 23 degrees, which is perfect. But if I had to, I would liquid cool it, to be honest, just like my PC at home. But it uses 8 bipolar transistors, and therein lies one of the problems. That's cost to replace. So the good thing is, if you can get hold of lots of old CB amplifiers, the old Sitagi ones, they've got exactly the same pills in them, the 2SC 2789s. And if you picked up maybe 4 of those, you'd probably get a good set of transistors there, and it just needs setting up on the bias circuit. But it's the soldering of the main board. Once the controller goes, there's absolutely no way that you could clone the chip from one of the others and put it in on the other one. Although I haven't tried that yet. I'm sure that there are some very clever people out there that will come up with an option there, Jono.
Yeah, Roger. Very another very detailed reply. And I have a pal in the States, and he has one, but he doesn't use it because with his modern car, anytime he talks with the amp, the windows go up and down and doors open and the whole lot. Over.
Oh, sorry, I'm not laughing, but I was fully suspecting that the new modern cars would suffer greatly. I've been very lucky, actually. I've had 3 transit vans. This is Mark III now, and basically on this one, I've got 175 amps at the customer connection point, which Ford call that. It means I can plug anything into that point on the side of the seat. So upgrading the cables, plenty of ferrite. I've got over 170 ferrite clips in here for everything. You know, there's clips on everything, including in the engine bay. I've got aluminium foil wrapped around most of the cables going into the NECU. So I've done a lot of wrapping. It looks more like a spaceship than it does a van.
Yeah, Roger. Well, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You work the world, and I think you work the world nearly every day. Yeah, I'll send him a recording of what you say, And I think those smart power cubes, and I stand corrected, they were made in Taiwan, over?
I'm not sure. I always thought they were American, but they may well have outsourced to Taiwan for the actual design. But every board inside is marked up as SGC. It's definitely branded for them, but I'm not sure the total origin of the build. But they do vary between the evolutions. There's about 3 or 4 different types. Although they're all the same, it's the controller board that varied over the time. But the main boards have remained the same, over.
Yeah, very interesting what you say about the SWR. Now, he was finding as well, so he's gone back to my pal in Ireland, Jimmy. He's gone back to 100 watts. Yeah, when he was passing things or things were passing him, as you mentioned earlier, the SWR changed, and then, of course, the amp tripped out, over.
Yeah, now I still get that problem, and to be fair, I know when it's going to happen, and I'm quite happy that it does, because it's proving that the protection circuit's working. I would be more worried about overcurrent, to be fair, and overheating, but the actual SWR trip, I'll be very happy that it's doing that. What I would prefer to see is a kind of delay, because when you pass under a bridge, it's for a brief second, but the amp clicks off in milliseconds. I mean, it's very, very responsive. But that's okay. I'm not going to break it, you know, and I can keep talking on here. I operate contests from my van, and it will work all the time. Last couple of weeks ago, I operated the club called G5RV, and I was on for 13 hours non-stop, and it was just working all the time. And I've always been impressed with it, but again, it comes down to how much you drive it, and I've uprated the voltage as well. So I'm not using 12 volts, I'm not using 13, I'm using 14.8, and I'm using a Harrison Labs flux capacitor, which is an 80 amp offering, but it will give me 14.8 amps even with 9 volts. So it's a very good unit, it works very well, a little bit noisy, but that can be sorted out, and the location of where you put it counts as well. Keep the run as short as possible, and I'm using 2-gauge cable for the amplifier, so it's very, very thick cable, so I don't get any current drain, and I've got an amp meter in here as well, so I can watch the amps, the current draw, the voltage, I can watch the SWR, I've got a station monitor here, the FX771, I'm watching the frequency response with my audio, because the amplifier, I'm running it by voice driven only. It's RF sensing and voice activated. There's no ALC control, although I have adjusted the ALC to suit what's on the screen of the 7300, and by now it's okay. You do get some attenuation issues with SWR, and if you watch the amplifier, the lowest light on there is attenuator, and I notice a drop in amps when it does that. But when I'm on full amps here now, I'm running about 45 amps at the moment, and that's giving me a good wattage as well, so it's okay. But the good thing is, as it warms up, if it gets too warm, I can see the power dropping, I can see the amps going down, and then the temperature, the fans kick in. Once the temperature goes down, I watch the power coming up. It's almost alive there, John. ON8EI, Mike 0, KPD Mobile.
Yeah, Roger, Mike 0 KPD Mobile, ON80i for ID. Now, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to play you back like Ferry sometimes does, and then I have another question. So, last seen, you were 25/9 in Belgium. So, here we go.
Which is an 80 amp offering, but it will give me 14.8 amps even with 9 volts. So it's a very good unit, it works very well, a little bit noisy, but that can be sorted out, and the location of where you put it counts as well.
Okay, so that's the audio clip, and the question is, you're still on the 7300, and as you know, the 7300s were guilty of overshoot, over?
Yes, I did hear about that, and I do notice that at times when I de-key, I get a delay on the relay dropping out, and when I key up, I get a short spike. So far, the spikes have been managed to about 1.5 SWR, but it can also cause a trip on the amplifier as well if it spikes up to about 2. So I think I've been quite lucky, and obviously I've got my audio turned up, and you can hear that. You know, it's not overdriven. I know AA1BU said to me that I was overdriving my amp, and he said it sounded terrible. But obviously for these conditions being very close, it may be a bit unbearable, but over distance it sounds better, if you know what I mean. Obviously the Italians have got that down to a key. You can always hear the audio, but I don't want it to be so ear-splitting that your nose bleeds, you know. So I find it's quite comfortable, but I've not really had any issues with it overshooting too much, over.
Yeah, okay, well, very good. That's that sorted. No, many's the time I've been down in the living room listening to a VK5 Kiwi SDR and hearing you mobile, over.
Well, it's always interesting to know where you're being heard, of course. And I don't use any SDRs here. I find it too tempting to tune into a long-distance station. I prefer to work them. No preamps either. I don't use preamps at all. I find the 7300 to be quite sensitive on the OVF. And especially, one thing, the biggest problem that I have, and I've not been able to cure it, is static rain. And if I'm up on a hill in a storm and the storm's passing and the rain's probably horizontal at that time, it's very hard not to get a whitewash, and I do get wiped out. But the solution I found was to drive up the road, down the hill, drive down the hill, drive back up, and it seemed to dissipate all the static. Now, I have thought about having one of these static straps on the ground and all that kind of stuff, but to be honest with you, I want to stay isolated from the ground. So I have the advantage of 4 rubber tyres. I do not want to connect to ground, especially with the high Q. And the antenna is directly connected to a shunt coil, which is direct to ground, if you'll know what I mean. So always very aware and very careful what's going on around me. And especially with these amount of amps, I could probably start welding with it, John, over.
Yeah, Roger. And I wonder, did you ever, and you wouldn't have heard it, you'd have been in the, in your van, but if you're static and you're in a damp sort of area, if people stand close to the van, they can hear your modulation on the antenna, over.
Okay, well, I've not tried that myself, but I probably could. I'll have to get an unsuspecting visitor to pop by and get on the radio so I can have a listen. The only thing I have seen, I saw flashing like lightning in my wing mirror one day, and I thought, that's a bit odd. It's either a torch or there's thunder and lightning around us. But it was quite a clear day, but it had been raining. And what it turned out to be was the 3/8 mount, where the antenna whip actually goes into the mount with the 2 grub screws. It was really dirty and it was arcing out. And when I inspected the antenna, I literally had lightning marks at the base of at the top of the tube, at the base of the whip. It was quite cool, but it was really annoying because I had to make a new cap. But it certainly taught me a lesson. One thing I did notice, and I don't know if Jimmy's found it, that once they started gritting the roads here in the UK with salt, there's a lot of iron in that, all the vehicles get very brown and ugly. And I noticed that a lot of that sort of crap, basically, all that crud from the road was getting up inside the tube. And when I cleaned it, there was a lot of road grime had gotten up inside the tube. So I'm looking at another felt seal around the base so it can keep that sort of stuff out. But of course, you're adding drag to the motor the tighter the seal, so you still have to think about that one. But lessons learned, I think, and it's always been work in progress for me. There's always something to think about. And I've actually thought about making my own antenna, but to be fair, it's pretty much my own antenna now, so we'll see how it goes. But there's something to look out for is road grime. It can cause a lot of issues, and of course with iron in the salt, and that's coating your whole vehicle, it actually connects your antenna to the vehicle directly in the place you don't want it to be. Over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, it's great that you've learned so many lessons. And I wonder, have you gone back to Mr. Scorpion and quoted your experiences? Over?
Unfortunately not. I had a bit of an issue before. I bought the antenna, everything was fine, and he was quite happy to export it to me, and it came through very quickly. Of course, we pay a premium on import, and 20% was quite a lot on top of an expensive antenna. But I was very happy for that. That wasn't the problem. You know, that was my new baby. But it was the after sales, and during COVID, Ron actually said he's not going to export these antennas anymore to anywhere in Europe, because I wanted to buy a second one, an 80-meter one, not the 160. So I have a little bit of a shorter body for everyday use and the 160 for contesting. But that being said, he didn't come back to me straight away. And then finally he came back to me because I was trying to find out, one, what the motor was, the original motor, and if he could supply one. And secondly, the finger stop that picks up on the coil. Well, he came back eventually through a friend of mine, K1CAL, Cal there in Georgia. And basically, he managed to get the parts and send them to me because Ron would not export anything. So I did not get a motor. He said they were unattainable. I got the finger stock, and I found a place in the UK that does the same stuff. So now I've got a supplier of that. That's absolutely no issue, and I can change it at will. The wire that he uses is silver-coated copper. That was also a problem to get hold of originally, but I found a place that I can get. You know, it's finding stuff to replace things. You know, the phenolic tube, he didn't want to replace that. He said it's because the excuse is that obviously I've got water in the antenna and that's causing the issue. It wasn't. It's just that I live in a very high sort of water content area near the sea, and our weather here is a lot different to California. So, long story short, I kind of fell out with him, and I didn't want to pursue it anymore. But I've always flown the flag for his antenna. I've even kept the sticker, although you can barely see it now, but you can definitely tell it's a Scorpion. And I've always flown the flag for his company because I'm quite happy that what he built me and what he supplied was 100% perfect. And over time, things wear out. In the UK, our roads are like rally driving. In America, the roads are long and flat, and you don't really have the issues that we have, like speed bumps, roundabouts, low trees. You name it, I've hit it with the whip because the antenna's quite high. But, you know, it is what it is. It was my choice to keep the antenna on top of the roof, one for the safety aspect, two for the emissions, near-field emissions, so there's no risk to other people with the antenna being so high, and I'm fully under the regulations over here of our requirements for our license, so that's good, you know, although there was never a provision for mobile stations to actually complete the task. So I did that anyway. I am working at a tilt-over mechanism. I don't want a manual one. I want a CNC one. So I'm going to control it from my computer. I'll tilt the motor down. I'll tilt it back up on a worm gear. That's something that I want to do this year. And I think that'll be it completed. So I don't know where I can go from that, you know, apart from make my own one, John. ON8EI, Mike 0 KPD, straight mobile Friday.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I'm really enjoying this conversation because normally I hear you and it's mainly it's 5.9 and maybe a few overs with the DX stations. But yeah, you've got a fund of information, and I'm recording this, so it's going to be very interesting to listen back. But definitely, I think Jimmy should contact you for the tips and tricks. Now he broke the whip, and I think he replaced it with, was it maybe something to do with welding? Over.
Okay, so he may have used a welding rod, a stainless rod, which is okay, but the best whips that I've used are the MFJ 1964, which is the original, and the MFJ 1966, which is the longer version, which I use for 160. I had to cut mine down actually because I broke my whip and I didn't get a replacement. But I found that Moonraker UK, they do supply, and Radio World do still manage to get hold of them. The whips are tapered. Now the problem if you use a solid whip all the way along is to do with velocities. I know it's probably not a great deal, and I'm sure the whip will work, any whip that you put on. But when you have a tapered whip with a ball at the top, it's to do with velocities. How much it is, I don't know, but there are guys that have got into this a lot more extensively than myself when it comes to how they're made and what material they're made out of. They're made out of quite a hard stainless steel. Yes, you can bend them, but they get brittle over time. The more you hit them, the more brittle they become. Whereas a normal stainless steel rod, which will work, if you hit it, it will bend and it won't spring back. So the way to do that is, if you want to use a normal stainless whip, heat it up till it's blue, drop it straight in water, and that'll pre-stress it. So then it will go a bit harder and it'll take a bit more. A bit like making a spring, over.
Yeah, well, that's really terrific. All those tips and tricks. Now, I don't expect you to do it, but I'm sure if you had your spare time, you could make a kind of a things to do if you have, the Tar Heel or the Scorpion, over.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's always something to do. And I think one of the biggest problems with the Scorpion or any American antenna is that everything is American. The threads are American, they're UNF or UNC or whatever they have, AF I think it is. But over here, of course, is the metric equivalent is very hard to find. So if you say the tube for the coil, it's not 4 inch, it's 3 and 7/8, that kind of thing. And you put a 4 inch tube over it, you got a bigger gap, that kind of thing. So the conversion, I'd like to make a metric version in the UK for the European market. And that's something I had thought about talking to Ron about. If he could not supply them here, could I make them under license here? And he would get commission for the antennas, if you see what I mean. So I build them, take off my cost, he gets a commission on everyone sold, and I get to put a Scorpion badge on it. But of course, that's taking away someone else's baby. So the best way to do it is to make a homebrew and actually license it myself. But it's the time, that's the problem. My work is long and varied, and I've always got something on the go. Hours are not my best friend, so I'm looking forward to retiring, and you may well see a bit more production from me, Jono.
Yeah, well, if you look at, I know you're, I believe you're a good friend of Tom Shepherd, over.
Tom Shepherd, is that DF2BO?
IZQ, over.
Oh yeah, IZQ. Well, I hear him every day on the radio. I always hear him. I don't speak to him too often, to be fair. He's normally DX in the same time as me, trying to get the same DX stations, over.
Yeah, well, he's a good pal of Mr. Vortex, over.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I think it's what amazes me about this, you speak to people on a regular basis. You don't actually know what they do or where they are during the day when they're not on the radio. And even Tom, DF2BO, the other Tom, who I haven't heard for a long, long while, I used to annoy him, to be honest. He said, "Oh, this is stupid, a mobile station on 8." No. And over a while, he kind of warmed to the fact that I was there every day. So being like a persistent tick on the cattle, I broke him down slowly. But I always hear Tom in the mornings, and he's quite often working at DX. But no, I didn't know the background of him, over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, if you look at his QRZ page, you'll see all the antennas that Tom is using, and they're all monobanders, and they came from Vortex, over.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I know he uses monoband. I kind of got away from the monoband thing from the get-go. It was okay on 11 meters. It didn't matter. It was just a whip, and that was it. But I started with what did I start with? The FT897 and the 100 Alpha. You know, that was the first antenna, the screwdriver I had from Yaesu, and that's what I've used for the first year and a half. So I've always liked the idea of screwdrivers, especially when you're driving, you want to change a band. You don't want to stop and have to get that one out, and so on and so on. I've never been a fan of mag mounts. I worked out that I would need to have 8 magnets on my roof to hold this antenna on. I did want to go through the stress of that, Jono.
Yeah, totally understood. But what Mr. Vortex did, and I admire him for that, he ceased trading because he was, he had done his time, but he gave all his information and tips and tricks on the Vortex website. Over.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I'll see if I can find some info on that. I mean, there is a wealth of information online for lots of things, and there was a site, I can't think of the name now. It was 500 watts in a mobile, and they predominantly were to do with the SGC 203 tuner and the radio, and they're all to do with the SGC. But it evolved from there, and they mentioned the Tar Heel, they mentioned the Scorpion and the High Sierra and cap hats and all the various different things. And that was really an interesting go-to for me initially, but you kind of get over where they don't have the problems that you have. When someone gives a report on something or a review, that review is at that time for that particular purpose and that particular experience of that person. But for me, the experience has been very, very different. And I really should write down more about it, but it's getting my head into it and writing it down in an essay or something that people can read and take this information. Unfortunately, I keep a lot of it in my head, and I think a lot of people do. I find it very hard to put pen to paper and explain it in the proper way. I kind of do analogies and real-world experience. Of course, that's what their review was as well. And, it's interesting for us all. There's a guy in in Switzerland, is it HP9CVQ? He does a lot of testing with miniature antennas and low power in a mobile scenario over set predetermined distances. So he's kept his scaled down version of his results, which are just fine and very interesting to read. But in the real world, in my experience, it's been quite different over the longer distance, i.e. DX and everything else. And your reports of hearing me on the SDR and things like that. Now, you're bearing in mind that on the going 500 watts mobile report, it actually said that the efficiency of my antenna at 500 watts would only be around 1 to 5% efficiency. So I'm kind of thinking in the real world that's not true in my case. It's been very efficient, and I'm not sure scientifically how my efficiencies come about, but I'm pretty sure that it's a lot better than 5% of his maximum what they've told me. So again, it's working it out. I'm having to learn as I go and understand fully what I'm achieving, because I don't want to give people the wrong advice for things that have worked for me may not work for them. So I'm happy to help out, of course, and any tips and tricks, as they say, but probably not a scientific de facto. It's just in my real world, in my vehicle, in my scenario, it works for me directly. If somebody wanted to do exactly the same setup as me in the same size vehicle, and the vehicle size does make a difference, I will tell you. I had a Volkswagen Caddy, and it was a real different animal to this Transit van, which is the next size up. And I think a lot of it's down to grounding efficiency. The grounding ratio of the antenna to my vehicle is very, very good. And I've also got a front to back ratio as well, with the antenna being at the back, it's almost like a 3-ton beam. And I do point to the direction that I'm talking, so it will make a difference over a greater distance, but nothing too much at this sort of distance between us now. So there's a lot of things, I don't know, I think I'm probably like a mad mobile professor, I think would be fair to say, John. ON8EI, Mike 0, KPD Mobile.
Yeah, Mike 0, KPD Mobile, ON8EI for ID. And one of the key things is, and it proves the point when I was listening to you down on a VK5 Kiwi, it's the audio. Even if the signal is right down, if the audio is punching through, that's key, over.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'd agree with you 100%. And you've only got to listen to a pilot. And I know I mention the Italians very often, but they've got very strong audio. And over the greatest distance, they're the guys that get heard. You can have absolute studio quality audio, but the complaint would be that the losses over distance of the lower audio, the lower tone, is a wasted transmission on a DX. That's why people go narrow or mid or what have you. I set mine for medium, I think. Medium bearable, but quite punchy. And I do drive the audio, but I'm hoping it's not distorted. And the 7300 is an absolute great performer on audio. So I think a lot of people would agree. ON8EI, Mike 0 KPD Mobile. I think you might have a breaker there, John.
Yeah, Roger. Okay, well, we pick up the breaker in a moment. But yeah, your audio and Moz, he's also on the 7300. So his audio punches through as well. Well, what I'll do, I'll just tell you about, when I was about 15, and like many people, we started off on the single band setup. And a good pal of mine, and you'll remember this car, he had a Fiat Ritmo, a spoken amplifier. He was mobile, only mobile, and a K40, over.
Yeah, I had the K40 myself. I ended up making co-phased fire sticks, 9-foot fire sticks, just a coil wound, one in each corner of the car. I had one in the front driver's side corner and one in the rear back corner. So I kind of understood it initially, and it was quite easy on a big car to get that sort of distance between the two at a quarter wave, if you like. It was fun. But yeah, I did work on the single band for a long, long while, complete with the Echo mic and the Roger bleeps and all that kind of thing. But that's when I had hair. That's when I didn't care about things. But then, obviously, I found women, which were more exciting than the radio. But I used to have a lovely radio. It was a Polmar SS120. Complete with A channels, uppers, lower lowers, and all that kind of thing. And to look inside the thing, it was like a big bowl of spaghetti with all the extra boards and crystals in there and everything. And there were some very, very good people on that mode that were very technical and able to EEPROM channels and all that kind of thing, which kind of sparked my interest in the electronics world, but I ended up being an engineer. And now I'm going back to electronics. So I'm hoping to take a course, an open university course at my own pace. And I've got myself an electronic bench at home now, complete with the electronic microscope and all that stuff. And so far it's been pretty good. So looking forward to making a few projects and things and different stuff that I can play around with. But I think that's my understanding comes from practical experience. If you put me in front of a book and work out the math, I'd never do it, to be honest with you. But if you gave me a bunch of parts on a bench, I could probably make you anything if you wanted it, over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, you've proven your mettle in the way you operate, and also especially some of those photos on your QRZ page. Okay, I'm not sure how long you want to hang around for, but I'll put it back to you if someone did call in. Go.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll just give a quick call. I'm going to have to get on my way in a minute, probably about another 10 minutes, and then I better be on my way. But is there anyone else to join us? This is Mike 0 KPD Straight Mobile with Oscar November 8 Echo India listening. QRZ. How strong to be in this time is okay? But the wind in the UK, in the south is no wind. In the south is no wind. I think the wind is in the north, over.
Okay, Oscar Hotel 6 Hotel Oscar Whiskey. I looking is by Finland is news and his island is very, very strong, very strong, and I think his UK is very good. Strong wind is this time now. Okay.
Yeah, Roger. I think the wind is starting about a couple of hours ago up in the north west of the UK. It's getting very strong from what I hear. And today they've had strong winds on the west side as well. But in the south we had strong wind in the morning, around 4 o'clock in the morning GMT. It was quite strong, but we had lots of rain as well. At 7 o'clock, no wind, no rain. So I think the storm was going very, very quickly, and I think it may be heading over to north of Europe, over.
Okay. Yeah, okay. It's very nice. It's very UK is no very strong wind, but I think it's many radio must go down and antennas go down. Is Ireland and it's very strong storm this time now and. It's Pat thinking is very strong wind this time is island. Okay, come on.
Roger. Okay, understood. Well, you must be safe, of course, with the antenna. I'm very lucky. I'm a mobile station, so my antenna is very small and easy to remove. But I understand, and I think many operators will be very, very careful this weekend to watch the wind. And well, I'm very lucky. I do not have that problem. Again, your call is Oscar Hotel Oscar Whiskey. What's the number, over?
6 Oscar Hotel 6 Hotel Oscar Whiskey. And you're speaking this time is mobile. Is you speaking mobile this time now?
Yes, Roger. I'm a mobile station, and my location is south of London, very close to Gatwick Airport, over.
Oh my God, the signal report is 5, 9, plus 10, plus 20 dB coming here in West of Finland. Oh my God. How many is 100 whiskey and amplifier?
Yes, I'm running an amplifier for 850 watts, 850 watts, and a Scorpion screwdriver antenna with an ICOM 7300, Roger?
Oh, Roger. My transceiver is here. He is the FTX101 Mike Papa, and 200 whiskey is my transceiver for this time now, and the antenna is a dipole antenna. Dipole antenna, 3 times the dipole antenna is this time now. Okay. Sorry, I'm coming here present, and maybe it's your pleasure continue here present. I'm sorry, you know that I is interesting is strong. UK is very strong wind this time now, and. But it's very good, is no London area, is no very strong wind, it's very good time, sorry, no, it's very good time now, it is no wind in London area, okay, come.
Okay, very good, Auntie. And, well, it's very good for me. I am in the south of the UK. In the north of the UK is where the problem from the wind, and I think the problem for the wind is now. So the guys in the north are very careful today. All the antennas come down, I understand, and many people are going to wait for the morning to see and hope that the antenna is okay. Please, Auntie, well, you're 5 and 9 with me, but another station on frequency, please say hello to John, Oscar November 8 Echo India. Please stand by, Auntie. John, do you hear Sweden?
Yes, I do here, Finland. Oscar Hotel 6, Hotel Oscar Whiskey, Oscar November 8, Echo India 5-9. The name is John, Auntie, over.
Okay, no problem. 5-9 is both in and DPS in our record. We're standing here, John, it's very important thing now, and no problem is I come to one and for it.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you for the 5-9. And yeah, it's 400 watts, a dipole, and a Hermes light, over.
Roger, okay. No problem. And the audio is very clear, very good. What is your transceiver?
Yeah, transceiver is it's a little SDR transceiver, over.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, you're right. I know anymore is I know anymore is speaking your frequency. Here is many people here. I copy this one Finland station. I copy here the same frequency. Okay, thank you. 73 and all people and copy to Finland station is the next year same frequency. Okay, thank you. 73. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye-bye, Auntie, and I'll just on key. Oscar Hotel 6, Hotel Oscar Whiskey, Oscar November 8, Echo India. Nice to hear you for the first time, and maybe we'll speak soon again. So back to you, Rob.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, very good. Thank you, John. And good evening to you, Auntie. Be careful with your antenna and have a lovely weekend. My greetings from the United Kingdom. Ocean Henry 6 Hotel Oscar Whiskey and Mike 0 KPD Stroke Mobile. 73, hey.
Okay, 73. Thanks, bye. €6.
Yeah, I see he's got a Serio Gainmaster for 10, 11 and 12 at 17 meters. So we'll see how that goes in the wind, Rob, over.
Going to have to cut it short in just a few brief moments, but thank you very much for the contact. And well, I speak to I forgot Steve very often, and I operated the Mike 6 Charlie team with him this year on the CQ Worldwide. So I have gotten to know Steve over the last couple of years. Great guy, and it's always very nice to come across friends on the air and also to make new friends as well. So thank you very much, John. It's been a most enjoyable QSO. Thank you for listening to my detailed descriptions of mobile operation. And I know if it was 11 meters, you go in the shop, you buy a whip, you buy a radio, and it all works, and there's absolutely no problem. But as we get older, we get wiser. And obviously moving into amateur radio, it was a big jump for me, but a most enjoyable one. And I really do like the technical challenge, and I really do like to see the benefits of and rewards of all my hard work. So that's what the station's about, and I'm very happy with the results there, John. ON8EI, Mike 0 KPD Mobile.
Yeah, very good. Okay, well, I totally agree. And well, I started off, as you said, with the single band as well. But it's nice you do a little bit of effort, or even a big bit of effort, and it certainly pays dividends, especially when you can when you can call that big station down in Indonesia, and he knows who you are. Over.
Oh yeah, I've spoken to Ferry many a time, and I've even had a video chats with him on WhatsApp and TikTok and all that kind of thing. He's a really nice guy, and he's actually a member of my club. I run a group on Facebook called the Gentlemen's Club HFDX group, and he's a member of people in Australia. Well, I think 35 countries we have members around the world. And it's great. And he went to a ham fest in Indonesia, and he was wearing the T-shirt. I was so proud to see that. And he was with some of the other guys at IBM and all those people. And he's a really nice guy, very hard worker. He works with his wife. She's the project manager. He's the instigator of the workers. and he's always busy, but he never sleeps. But I think he's become a TikTok sensation now, and also the problems he's having at the moment is the low bands are very poor for him. So I've not been able to work him too much this year, but hopefully as we go into the summer or the spring, he'll start to come back again. But we'll see how it is. But I'm in regular contact with him on WhatsApp. A really nice guy. And it's nice when you call somebody and they recognise you, and even with the pile-ups, you know. But it sometimes gets quite difficult to get in. And I think people forget that I'm a mobile station unless I told them. So basically a home station with wheels. If I did not mention mobile, I don't think he'd know, Over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, you proved your mettle there with the station in Finland, and well, Ferry, he's a great guy for lots of contacts, and I hear him now talking with Dennis. Over.
Yes. The propagation for him has gone south, and I noticed that throughout the year. I mean, I didn't know when I started that I'd become very good at geography, time zones, small brief parts of languages, visiting people in different countries and all that kind of stuff. But we're all here for the same thing, and that's to get on and make friends. And I've spoken to Carl many times down there, but I've not been able to work Dennis too much. I have worked him, but that was the last occasion that he was there. And I think the first week that he arrived in Thailand, we had some good propagation in the evening. But the precursor for that was if Tony VK5KI or Moz were coming through strong, the chances are that Dennis would be riding on the back of that line. But we kind of lost it completely. And then I noticed that on 15 metres I would hear Indonesia a lot better in the afternoons, but 40 metres dropped away. So there's all these things, all these variables and, you know, everything going on. You kind of get pretty good at it. And being in the right place at the right time, it pays off, I think, Jono.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And just looking up his call sign, but a guy you might have worked he's also ON7OFF. His name is Kurt, and he's currently in Thailand for a few months. So take a listen. Maybe you'll hear him on 10 meters. He recently put the big mast up, and he's Hotel Sierra Zero, Zulu Papa X-ray. Over.
Okay, very good. I've written that down. I'll have a listen. And I was hearing the radio club in Pattaya for quite a while. They seem to have gone quiet as well now. But I've noticed there's a lot of countries I'm not hearing right now. Ones that I would normally hear, you know, bread and butter. But I think it's just wind of change, cycle 25. I was actually hoping for better things, you know, working the world with a wet noodle and a small transceiver QRP. But I don't think it's worked out that way at the moment. And, of course, the solar activity is not helping at all. And I'm normally finding right now that come the sunset, the propagation just drops away on the high bands, which is a shame because we used to enjoy some good propagation on 20 right up to about 1, 2 in the morning, and then the guys would switch to 40. The problem we find in the UK is being on the western part of Europe, the farthest west of Europe, is that by the time the propagation reaches us here, the guys in America have gone to sleep. So we kind of have to hope to get in early, and that's what I do. I get up very early in the morning, around 3 o'clock. I'm normally on air from 3:30, and I sit with the Bulgarian guys. They give good reports, 5/9 plus to the guys in America, but I'm able to get in on that window, not as strong as those guys, of course, but regularly, and I think that's the thing. Being persistent and regular and consistent as well kind of pays off in the end. Okay, John, I'm going to have to get away. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to catch you this evening. We normally only get a chance to give reports and away we go. But I do like to have a good chat now and again. I think it's great for me. And it's a good builder of friendships, I think. So thank you very much, John. Have a lovely evening there, or what's left here now. It's morning for you, 12:30. And have a good weekend. And we'll come across each other, I'm sure, and we'll continue. if you got any other questions, or indeed get Jimmy to give me an email, that's current on QRZ, anytime, no problem at all. And if I ever get the opportunity, if Jimmy needs help, it's quite easy for me to go over to Ireland for a weekend's break and have a look and see what we can do to help him. So always happy to help, and that's the part I do enjoy about radio. Oscar November 8, Echo India, Mike 0 KPD straight mobile. Apologies, but I better go. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning, so almost like all the way round the clock, so I better call it a day. Best 73, and thank you.
Yeah, Roger, well, great speaking with you, Rob, and I know how you feel about 3 o'clock. I normally get up at 4 every other week for my work. So that's so we know. I know exactly how you feel, and during the day you have you have dips, but I manage to have a siesta when I take my break at work. Okay, great speaking with you. I'll send that the recording on to Jimmy, and I'll send the recording on to you as well. Over.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you very much. I haven't recorded you myself. My phone's low on battery, and I really do want to set up something on my sound card here from the 7300, so I can do that on the computer. I'm on live on the computer. I've got the internet and everything, because it's also my office as well. So I'm on live M1MM. I've got QRZ up and everything else as well. Like Steve, I'm very much into multitasking, typing, tuning, watching the screen, getting on and driving as well. But always safe, that's the important thing. And I will stress that, always safe. So, so far, everything's been good. Thank you very much, John. I look forward to seeing the video, the recording, and obviously hearing from Jimmy. Should he need my help, I'll be more than happy, of course. Thank you very much. 73 for now.
Yeah, okay. I have one final last question for you, Rob. And I'm just wondering, the Boys in Blue, did anyone ever, I won't say they stopped you, but inquired, over?
Well, I've had many occasions when I've been sitting up on a hill or some godforsaken place at very early hours of the morning, and the police have knocked on the window. A couple of police women said, oh, we just wondered what you're up to. This was during COVID, and I was on call for breakdowns and things, so not essential service, but also I was a good part of keeping machinery for pharmaceuticals and things on the road. And they came up and said, oh, everything okay? I said, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm out, but, you know, I'm on my own here. They said, no, absolutely fine. What are you doing? And I said, oh, it's America on here. She said, really? America? She said, I only hear my local area on my radio. So they had a listen, and she said, oh, you must be thirsty, she said. We're just going to have a break. And they brought me back a coffee and some biscuits, which I thought was nice. And then on another occasion, I was sitting at the traffic lights. A police car came up next to me. I wasn't talking on the radio, but the guy said, wind down your window. He said, who are you listening to? Amateur radio, right? I said, yeah. He said, oh, my dad was an amateur radio operator. He said, we'll be calling on you when the satellites fail. We need you for the service. I said, yes, I know. He said, who are you listening to? And at the time, it was Ferry. I said, that's Indonesia. He said, wow, that's pretty cool. Well, the funny thing was, the lights had changed to green. The car behind the police car was beeping. He was very impatient. So the police officer got out of his car. He said to the guy, I'll go when I'm ready. So they made him wait, all for amateur radio. But of course, we're on the simplex rule here. It's a grey area, and we will have to go voice only eventually. But I do operate Vox, so I have the microphone clipped onto my seatbelt when I'm driving. It's on Vox. When I'm sitting here, of course, I'm using the hand mic as normal. But eventually I will get a head boom mic, which is like a Britney Spears one for driving and things like that, with a button on the gear stick. So I'm already making provisions for that. That's it, all in. But right now we're still on simplex, as well as the police and other services as well. So so far it's been okay. And I think, let's be fair, if I was going along the road, DXing and going across 3 lanes of traffic, stopping and starting, and all that kind of stuff, I'm pretty sure that they would pull me over straight away. But I don't let that happen. That's the first rule is the safety thing. Radio can come later, right? So, yeah, at the moment we're all okay, and the boys in blue are happy, over.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that answer. Yeah, I use PTT with a light switch, but that's another day's work. Take care, Rob. Sleep well. We keep in touch, and I'll send you a link to where you can listen to yourself. M0KPD Kilo Papa Delta Stroke Mobile ON80I. Bye bye from Belgium, Rob. Over.
Yeah, my pleasure, John. Thank you very, very much. A most enjoyable QSO. Doesn't happen much these days, but very happy that we came across each other this evening. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. The best 73. Good night.
Yeah, good night, Rob. Sleep well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. ON80I.
Sierra 59, Victor Juliet.